This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. From the first phone call 140 years ago to mobile video streaming today, AT&T innovates to improve lives. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing the critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 65 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, it's been a very different year here in Trenton in terms of business policy in the legislature. Here to tell us all about it is NJBIA's Chief Government Affairs Officer, Chrissy Buteas. Chrissy, you're one of the hardest working people in Trenton. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes here.
Thanks, Bob. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So as this show is being recorded, New Jersey businesses are still only open about 25% capacity. And we're talking about indoor dining. Gyms has only been a couple of weeks as we record this. So how are these restrictions impacting businesses? Is New Jersey an outlier in kind of the bad way in this?
Well, thanks for the question, Bob. I mean, we're all aware that we're trying to fight this global pandemic, and especially here in the state, and we're glad to see that Governor Murphy has crushed, the curve in terms of new cases, and we've been really focused on trying to make sure that our businesses are able to reopen. The strength of our economy is key at this point to getting our state back on its fiscal footing. And having businesses operating at a limited capacity has been extremely challenging for them. I get asked frequently, well, aren't your businesses all open? Well, in fact, a lot of them are, not all, but a lot of them are, but they're not all operating at full capacity. Indoor dining is just one example. Right. Museums, outdoor recreation, there are other examples of situations where they are not permitted at this point in time to be operating at full capacity. And what we're trying to do is make sure that they can safely reopen and working with the administration and our policymakers.
Right. I'm going to read some data here. This is from NJBIA's recovery survey, and I'm going to read my chicken scratch here, but it says 83% of respondents need half or more of their usual patrons to break even during a given month. And 18% said they need all of it, 100% or more of their usual patronage to break even. What does that say? I mean, how much trouble at this point? We're 6 months in. How is this impacting businesses?
The survey results show that it's critical for our businesses to be operating at their full potential. Mm-hmm. Even if you take indoor dining, not everyone has had the ability to do outdoor dining. And so operating even at 25% indoor really has very large implications for the businesses as well as their employees.
Right. So again, as we tape this, the governor and the legislature will either have just settled on the final FY21 budget as we pivot in that direction, mm-hmm. or there'll be just a few days from resolving it. Where do you think we're going to wind up?
Still yet to be seen, but Bob, as you know, and I'm sure our listeners are aware, New Jersey was one of the only states to push back its fiscal year. Right. And so at the end of the month, the governor and the legislature must decide upon what the next 9 months look like in terms of our budget. What we're up against right now is, while the governor did cut some expenses from his budget, we are still seeing over $1 billion in new spending. We're seeing over $1 billion in tax increases proposed, and we're also not seeing any structural reforms to really right this ship for New Jersey moving forward. So a very challenging budget right now for the business community lies ahead. So where we are right now is the legislature and the governor are negotiating. NJBIA has been at the forefront of offering testimony and suggestions on how to make sure that our economy and our budget are moving in the right direction so that we can get on the path to fiscal recovery.
What do you think the temperature of the legislature is on this, on both sides of the aisle? A lot of taxation, a lot of borrowing. Do you feel like there's an appetite for that from them in a general sense?
After speaking with a lot of our policymakers over these past couple of weeks, I do believe that there's going to be some shifting of tax increases and or borrowing. Not really sure where that's all going to land, but I do know that there are policymakers who are very concerned about, we're raising taxes in good economic times, and now we're raising taxes again in our worst economic times. And how is the economy going to be able to really absorb that moving forward? We want to just make sure that New Jersey is never an outlier. We want to attract businesses. We want to make sure that our employees have a place to go to work. We used to have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. Now we actually have one of the highest in the country. Right. And so we want to get our folks back to work. We want our businesses to open safely. We want our patrons to feel comfortable coming into our businesses and getting back to as much of the new normal as we all can.
Absolutely. Speaking of work with the legislature, you and our team here at NJBIA are so accustomed to working with the legislature in kind of face-to-face meetings. Again, as we said from the onset, this is a different year. How has that impacted what you guys do? You're now doing a lot of virtual calls, a lot of things on the phone. How does that change how you deal with the legislature? Well,
first I want to give a big shout out to the government affairs team here at NJBIA. They do a phenomenal job working around the clock to make sure the business community's voice is heard during these very, very challenging times. But you're absolutely right, Bob. In government affairs, there's a lot of human interaction, a lot of face-to-face communication, and clearly when that's been restricted, we've had to shift, just like our business community has had to do as well. And so we are communicating just like everyone else virtually and also via phone, and we're right there adapting. And again, credit to the team. We're able to reach, our legislators and our policymakers and folks in the governor's office and the administration to have these very, very critical conversations. But certainly the face-to-face interaction is certainly missed right now.
Yeah. So in terms of the budget and not having public hearings, is that a different course for this year? Does it feel different?
Absolutely feels different. We are accustomed to having the legislature receive public testimony from hundreds of different interest groups,
right,
or organizations that want to get their message heard. And that was cut out this year. Only written testimony was acceptable. And certainly NJBIA submitted that, and you can find it on our website. But also the department hearings where the commissioners come and present before both the Assembly and the Senate budget committees was also put onto a much more restrictive schedule this year. And so we're right in the midst of that right now, receiving testimony from the commissioners from Governor Murphy's administration, and waiting to see what bill the legislature will ultimately put forth as their budget to go to Governor Murphy's desk for his consideration.
Right. Let's talk about the general concerns about the business community. It's been no secret over the past few years, there have been a lot of business policies not necessarily favorable to them. It seemed to me at the onset of COVID, there was a sympathy or an empathy for these impacted businesses. Now we're 6 months in. Is the business community still at risk of bad policy at this stage of the game?
We are constantly keeping an eye out on different policies that are coming out that impact the business community. While there have been some initiatives that have put money and resources into the business community to help sustain them, whether on the federal or statewide level, there have certainly been other policies that have been moving through the legislature and approved that have been challenging. And one of which is a piece of legislation that is currently pending on the governor's desk, which I do expect him to sign, which would shift the presumption of where an essential employee has contracted COVID-19. So it essentially says that any essential employee, and that definition is very broad, is presumed to have contracted that virus at their place of employment. And so that's of real concern to our New Jersey employers. So
let me get this straight. Even beyond the stay-at-home order, people are still out and about, they're at the beach, they're shopping. An employee can basically say, I contracted COVID at work.
Correct. And they could have been at a family function, the beach, the boardwalk, all great things, but to have that presumption shift and say, I contracted that virus at work, puts a lot of onus on the business community.
Wasn't there federal money available for that, in case you did legitimately get
Absolutely. So specifically, some of the federal programs reference that you could use those funds specifically for workers' compensation claims. And so we never want to be in a position where we're leaving federal dollars on the table and then putting that, again, that onus back on the backs of the business community.
Chrissy, I know one thing businesses are concerned about is liability protection. Where does that lie right now?
Bob, it's a great question. It's a top priority of the business community, and not just the business community, our nonprofit sector, higher education, as well as K through 12 education. So right now, everyone is able to go out and about, and we want to be sure that if a business, nonprofit, a school does everything they can to try to keep their students, their patrons safe, that there's some level of assurance that there wouldn't be a meritless lawsuit brought against them. And so we're certainly working with our federal delegation. We'd like to see that addressed on the federal level, but in the event that it's not, we do have legislation pending in the legislature sponsored by Senators Gopal and Senator Deignan that would do essentially just that.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, you think about it, all the things businesses have to deal with this year, having a meritless lawsuit would just be crushing.
It would absolutely crush certainly a small business to have to, even if it doesn't go to court, to have to fight that claim and pay those attorney's fees.
And as you said, this is for businesses that play by the rules.
Exactly.
If they're acting recklessly, that's...
Gross negligence is not covered, but again, trying to protect businesses that are doing all that they can to keep their patrons safe.
Great. And so what other bills do we have looking at towards the fall that you're concerned about?
Well, we're keeping an eye on any piece of legislation that makes us an outlier with respect to how we treat environmental regulations. Any piece of legislation that puts us as an outlier to put more restrictions and mandates on, from a labor perspective, on the businesses, as well as anything to increase healthcare costs. This is a really critical time. Our businesses are doing all they can to make sure that employees receive health benefits and to make sure that those remain affordable in the state while businesses have been closed. It has been very challenging and something the state is certainly going to have to grapple with in the future. Yeah. So needless to say, Bob, the plate is full. That's why it's critical that the business community has a voice every single day weighing in on these critical issues before the legislature and the governor's office, so that we're making sure that our voices are heard.
Right. Well, Chrissy, Buteas, you said it all, you said it well. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
These days, it's anything but business as usual. That's why working together is more important than ever. AT&T is committed to keeping you connected so you can keep your patients cared for, your customers served, your students inspired, and your employees closer than ever. Our network is resilient. Our people are strong. Our job is to keep your business connected. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do.
During an emergency, a network becomes a critical line of communication, connecting first responders to technology and to each other. FirstNet is the only officially authorized wireless network built with and for first responders. It's highly secure, eliminates throttling, and cuts through the clutter of commercial traffic. It's the help you need to help the people who need you.
Welcome back to Minding Your Business. NJBIA recently honored the recipients of the 60th Annual New Good Neighbor Awards, and one of the winners, the City of Hoboken, recently completed a $19.5 million project that is making pedestrians safer and business owners happier. Let's take a look.
Well, first of all, I want to say, as mayor of the City of Hoboken, welcome to Washington Street. This is the heart and soul of our community. We're very proud to have a complete street that pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists can all enjoy at once.
Thanks to this project, the city of, the residents, the businesses, the visitors of City of Hoboken, they're enjoying greater mobility, comfort, safety, and sustainability.
This is the main artery that connects the entire city, so we want to make it a place where everyone can enjoy. A mother with a stroller can walk across the street in a safe manner. Somebody can have enough sidewalk space. We can have bike lanes for people to have bikes and other forms of micromobility, and those all blend together in this complete street project.
It shows that the Hoboken as a city is investing in the future of the city itself, As a resident and a family man, it has just made the entire town appear more aesthetically pleasing, and of course the safety aspects of the brand new traffic lights and the pedestrian walkway has drastically improved Washington Street.
So, people always tell us how proud they are to finally enjoy a street that is a symbol of our city and one that they can be proud of as well.
Welcome to the Bellworks Metroburb here in Homedale. Well, like many places around the state of New Jersey, this cultural and business destination needed to shut down due to the coronavirus. How do they reopen? Well, we're here to get the answers today from Paola Zamudio and Pat Garofalo of Bellworks. Pat and Paola, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So before we talk about how Bellworks reopened, let's talk about how it needed to close. What were the challenges here? And this place has obviously had a lot of momentum. Now you needed to shut down for a bit.
Well, I had the unique opportunity of being here from day one. It was myself, security guard, 2 engineers, and a project manager. And over the few years that we've been here, we worked real hard, and we ended up over 100 tenants. We had thriving retail. We have the libraries here, and we actually established ourselves via events and just notoriety, being the community hub of this area, not necessarily just Homedale. Then Mr. COVID came around, and we started hearing the governor is going to have to be shutting things down. The shelter in place, work from home order was put in, and things changed. And we went from 4,000 plus tenants to maybe 50 that were essential workers, including my team that were here every day. So it was kind of a uncharted territory, a little emotional for me, because I saw it go from nothing to wow, we're doing great here. People love it here. They love what we did here, and it was a new day on March 21st.
Yeah, and you talk about how much square footage is here.
Oh, 1.9 million square feet with 50 people in it.
So you felt lonely?
A little lonely.
All right, Pat, we're here for you. So what was the response from tenants when you needed to shut down?
They were kind of in shock as well. I mean, again, I said it earlier, that's uncharted territory for everyone here. So for us to tell them that they couldn't come to work, it wasn't our position to do so. I mean, the governor passed the order, so really it wasn't much of a conversation. Hey guys, you can't come. But we did, like we talked about, we never really shut down completely. We did have essential workers here. One of our tenants, JCP&L, has 24/7. ISIMS is 24/7. Mettel is 24/7. So there were always people in the building, and intermittently, other tenants came in to get paperwork and mail and just things that they needed because they're working from home. They went from everything at their disposal in their office to nothing.
So Paola, what were the challenges in creating a strategy to reopen here with social distancing when community and working together and collaboration is such an intricate part of what happens here at Bellworks?
Yes, there was a challenge because some people wanted to be here and some people didn't want people to be here. So of course we had like those moments of like, how do we please everybody, because it's a pandemic, we have to protect people first, and our community is everything. So that was very important. So that's why for me it was very important the way we communicated everything was in a very responsible but fun but inspiring way. That was the first thing. So my first thing, I did some research, what other buildings were doing. We went to some online classes as a team. Yep. We look at things, what other buildings are doing. Yes, the air has to be purified, the opening of ventilation, but also I felt like the message, you see the simplicity of these signs, but it's just like, it's the way it represents a brand, and it represents Bellworks, and people, when they start to see how we took care of the building, we get so many messages on social media. Thank you, I'm inspired again, I can come back, and I can come back to work safely. It's just very important for me, that part of like how we put the message across. And also like even when we were not here, like on Instagram, we're putting things of like the history of Bell Labs, because this was Bell Lab, the music playing, we had videos of people playing piano back in the day, so we put those videos, stuff like that, just to say, hey, we're still here, this is happening, but we're gonna keep you inspired. So that was very important for me.
So Pat, what kind of finer details are we seeing here at Bellworks in terms of upgrades and safety measures here?
You know, we got our tenants involved early on. We had weekly meetings with our top 10, and then we expanded it to our retail customers, and we expanded it again to our smaller tenants. So we got a lot of information for them, not only what they would like us to do, but also what they were doing inside of their own spaces as well. So, and then we put together a strategy, which Paula said, you know, focused on social distancing. And the whole goal of that was to give the tenants, when they came back, a comfort level that they're coming into a safer environment. You know, we can't guarantee 100%, but what we've done with regard to, you know, we did thermal scanners. We did, I don't know if you noticed when you came in, we did wave to motion, open the doors. You don't have to touch the doors. We did that to all the perimeter. We did that to all the bathrooms. We increased our filtration in the common air handlers to, like they call MERV 13, which is a very thick substrate to get all the particulate out of the air and viruses. We increased our fresh air to 25%. We're ventilating the building more. We're turning the air over more. They're just keeping the air coming in and out of the building so nothing gets stagnant. We brought on more day staff. We have 2 people. All they do is go around and wipe down with hospital-grade disinfectant, and to keep door handles, garbage cans, tables, chairs, floors. You know, that type of those type of processes that people were looking for. And then Paula's team did a great job. All these signs you see around here. The table's clean. Don't move the furniture. Keep your distance. Wash your hands. You know, wear a mask.
The elevators are inspiring. If you go into the elevator doors, they open and it has this beautiful graphic saying just 2 people inside. So it's like the way we communicated. It wasn't just like a sign saying,
right.
You know, like, so that was very important. And also the house rules.
So
we worked on the house rules.
We worked on house rules, which I hit on some of them there. But I think the key factor is that while we were doing this, we were actually, we approached Hackensack Meridian, Bayshore Hospital. And they were very impressed, and they actually endorsed our policy and used our policy as a model for other people to follow.
So we've been here most of the day today, and it looks like things are fairly normal. What kind of feedback are you hearing from people who walk through Bellworks?
Well, we got feedback, very positive feedback, especially with all the different initiatives that Pat just mentioned. People feel safe coming in here because they see the effort. Like from the moment they walk in through a door, they see that there's a sign. So that we get very good feedback on all our social media and everything, like emails, we get feedback. It's also, people are wondering what's going to happen. Yes, that's a question because, like this is not only happening here, it's happening everywhere. So something that I feel very proud as our team, how we work with all the teams is that I feel like we're very cutting edge. And the way that we handle this whole situation, it's like what Pat said. People are doing that in other buildings. It's just like we're setting the bar up, and I guess this is the new normal. Nobody knew we were gonna be here right now, like 6 months ago. No, more maybe like a year ago. Nobody would have imagined this will happen. But I think we all we said let's make this place safe. Let's make it inspiring, and I think we're going to continue doing that and see what happens in the next 6 months or so. And I think that's what I think.
Well, the goal is to get back to normal, but we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
So we'll keep this in place as long as we have to. But it's interesting, the last week or so, we're seeing a lot more general public activity. Couple reasons why. Maybe there's nowhere else to go. And we are socially distanced, so they're comfortable coming here knowing that they're going to be safe or safer. I can't never say safe.
Yeah, and I think also the working from home thing is going to get a little boring, so people want to come back to work in a safe way. And something that we've seen here, actually, our new co-working space is opening soon, CoLab, and we've seen that people already are signing in to be part of it. It's like, 70% already leased. And it means that it's good to work from home, but I think people also want to come back and see people and collaborate and meet with others. So this is something you can do at Bellworks. Because first of all, look at the space, it's open. It's like, we have space, that's our whole thing. So I think that's—
It's easy to social distance here. If you really want to socially distance, you can.
It's not like,
can.
you know, you go on an elevator to the 74th floor. Here, you can just walk around, social distance. So that's one of our good things here.
Well, as Paula just said, Bellworks is always setting the bar high. They've done it again. It looks like everything here is as normal as can be. And we wish you luck along the way as you guys go forward.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for
Thanks a lot.
having us.
Finally today, let's check out what's in the October issue of New Jersey Business Magazine. Joining us right now is Editor-in-Chief Anthony Birritteri. Anthony, I think this is the 65th year for New Jersey Business Magazine. How on earth are you doing this?
Well, Bob, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Congratulations on this new, format for NJBIA.
Thank you, sir.
How do I do it, or how do we do it? It's teamwork, really. I work with a great staff, both on the editorial side and on the advertising side. I got three, including myself, 3 editors on staff. We work with freelance writers. So it's really teamwork. In delivering the news, it's just keeping our eyes and ears open all the time. Just like any good journalist, first thing in the morning, we read all of the online news sources. And then we just keep an eye out on the information that comes in via email every day, and picking the worthwhile, important news. Really quick, I've been with the magazine 31 years now. I was with it when it was just a printed monthly publication. Now we're online with New Jersey Business Today, NJBT. We're meeting daily deadlines. So it's busier now, more than ever. And it's exciting.
Yeah, every day is a new challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the October issue is the Small Businesses Resource issue. What can you tell our readers about that?
Well, we've been doing that for a number of years now. We look at, there's always 2 feature stories in this, feature. One looks at public sector agencies that are assisting small businesses. And then the other article looks at the professional service firms, the accounting firms, the law firms, the financial institutions, and everything that they are doing to help businesses. Of course, this year with the pandemic, everything is COVID-19 focused, the closure, what agencies are doing, et cetera. For example, we interviewed Tim Sullivan from the NJBIA, and the agency came up with 5 COVID-19 relief packages and programs for business. It's amazing. You'll see that in the issue. I don't want to run through everything for time's sake. We reached out to the SBA as well. They, as of July 30th, they helped 154,000 small businesses in New Jersey receive $17.2 billion in PPP grants, I believe. And they helped a little more than 98,000 small businesses receive $6 billion in economic injury disaster loans. So it's a lot. We reached out to the small business development centers and the number of companies they've been helping, and the Business Action Center as well, part of state government.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're sort of letting people contact them. They're sort of letting them know everything that the state does, everything that SBA does, everything that SBDC does, everything that NJBIA does. So it's really an all hands on deck. And they've been hearing they've been on the phone with small businesses, hearing their hardships. These businesses, they're just days away of losing everything that they've had and established. So it's been heart-wrenching, and that's in our editorial coming up in October.
Well, Anthony, that sounds like a very chock-filled issue of New Jersey Business Magazine. Folks, if they want to go read it, New Jersey Business Magazine is the official magazine of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. You can find it on njbmagazine.com. We suggest you check it out. Thank you, Anthony, for being here.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me, and good luck with the show.
And thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time on NJBI's Minding Your Business.